So, welcome everyone to this EU cluster talk on biotech, biomanufacturing, building the future with nature for climate mitigation and adaptation, for clean water, greener agriculture, new meds, safer chemicals. We're talking about the EU Biotech Biomanufacturing Initiative launched in March, including actions on regulation, financing, accelerating the use of AI and other things. My name is Chris Burns. Glad to be with you during this cluster talk. By the way, I have a bit of skin in the game because my son is studying biochemistry, so very interested as well in this discussion. These cluster talks are organized by the European Cluster Collaboration Platform, ECCP, with 1,500 organizations, and over 150 of them are in biotech. And this is on behalf of DG Grow at the European Commission. Let's take a look at the agenda. We want to start with the cluster news presentation from with Nina Hauptmann. The presentation from the European Commission. We'll have Slido questions, tapping your brain after we hear the presentation from the Commission. Panel discussion, and you also with your questions. You put your questions into the Q&A button down at the bottom of your screen. And the chat is also a great thing to work with because you see a lot of great exchange of information. Yeah, let's see. There's also the hashtag EU Clusters Talks if you have anything to cast wider on what you hear. And this is recorded for playback. Slides are also available afterward. So there you see those tech tips I just talked about. So you can click on raise your hand. We can also bring you in to pose the question yourself if you want. That's also possible. So let's get started with news from the European Cluster Collaboration Platform. Nina Hauptmann, team member of ECCP. Nina, please.
Thanks, Chris, and good morning to everyone. Happy to be here with you this morning for this EU Cluster Talk. And what we have to share is we invite you to still register for the Clusters Made region in Graz, which will take place on the 18th and 19th of June. We are talking about what clusters can do to spearhead transformative shifts towards climate neutral and a digital future aligned with the European sustainability goals, and learn from the examples that we see in Austria, but also with the international participants to exchange on good practices and to see how clusters can collaborate with policymakers and regional stakeholders to achieve these goals. So if you have not registered yet, you can still do it if you want to join us in Austria for this Clusters Meet Region meetings. And also next to it, there will take place a matchmaking event on the 18th of June, so that you can also meet partners for your next projects and collaboration opportunities. Speaking about matchmaking events, there is a lot in store also internationally where we invite you to join us. The next big matchmaking event with Canada will take place on the 10th and 12th of September on site in Montreal in the context of the All-In event, which is focused on artificial intelligence. And here you have great opportunity for both C2C, C2B or B2B collaborations with countries from the EU and COSME traveling, so your peers from here, let's say, and meet the colleagues in Canada. And the focus areas for this event are artificial intelligence, as we're at the All-In event, advanced manufacturing, digital technologies, and quantum technologies. If you're interested in Singapore and India, you can already mark calendars for 2 upcoming matchmakings, which will take place on the 22nd and until 24th of October in Singapore, in the context of the Singapore International Energy Week, and in India and Bengaluru on the 18th to 21st of November on the Bengaluru Tech Summit. So keep an eye out on more information that will be published shortly on the ECCP for the upcoming international matchmakings. We also invite you to explore the Trend Universe, which is another service provided by the European Cluster Collaboration Platform, a strategic foresight tool that allows you to get better understanding of future trends and impacts they can have on your organization in the different ecosystems. So check it out via the QR code, or you can also go there from the website to Trend Universe. It's open now for all users from the EU without needing to do anything on your profile, no need to update. So have a look and explore this tool as an additional sense for you. And if you have any questions, for example, on the Trend Universe, but also more general on ACCP functionalities, you're welcome to just drop into the drop-in sessions. So you ask, we answer. These take place Wednesdays at 4 for half an hour. So you can ask your practical questions on profile creations, profile updates, how to become a pros user, and so on. So these will take place until July. In the link in the chat, you will find the concrete dates as well. Every Wednesday at 4, you're invited to drop in and ask your questions. And with that, I hand over back to you, Chris, so that we can get started with the topic of the day.
Great, Nina, thank you so much. We were mentioning the Biotech and Biomanufacturing Initiative. Let's hear more about the challenges, the opportunities with that from Carlos Gomez Munoz, Policy Officer at the European Commission. Carlos, please.
Hello, thank you, Chris. Good morning, everyone. Yes, I'm Carlos Gomez. I work in the Secretary General of the Commission, and well, I'm very happy to be here with you to present this initiative. As you may know, the Secretary General is in charge of the policy coordination in the Commission, and this is why we have been very involved in the preparation of this communication, because biotechnology and biomanufacturing is such a cross-cutting use or policy area, touches very different fields. And so with the help with other services like our colleagues in GROW that are here, people from RTD will work together to prepare this communication that I'm going to present today. So let's start. Next slide, please. Yeah. So, you know, that extraordinary advance in life sciences and supported by the digitalization and artificial intelligence have made biotechnology and biomanufacturing one of the most promising technological areas of this century. They can help the EU to modernize the agriculture, forestry, energy, food and feed sectors, but also to help the industry to be more competitive and resilient. They can help to provide better healthcare for citizens, and also help the EU to succeed in its green and digital transition. We are talking of a crucial sector for the EU that in 2018 contributed directly with 31 billion euros to the GDP and has created that more than 200,000 direct jobs in the healthcare, industry, and agriculture. So biotech and biomanufacturing have enormous potential that the EU should maximize. And for that, we need to rely on the solid research and innovation basis. We need to scale up production and also combine interventions to promote the strengths of these sectors, but at the same time to protect them against the risks in the context of the increased geopolitical tensions. So the Commission has started working on that to promote the biotech. It has included it as one of the technologies that has been prioritized by the Strategic Technologies for Europe platform, the STEP. And also to protect biotech, it has been identified as a critical technology in our economic security strategy. And we have taken a further step with the communication, building the future with nature, boosting biotechnology and biomanufacturing in the EU. We are presenting today, and that was adopted on the 20th of March. And in that sense, the communication identifies challenges and barriers and proposes actions to help these sectors to develop their full potential. So next slide, please. So what are the challenges that the communication is identifying as main barriers for the sector? There are 8 challenges there. The first one is about the research and technology transfer to the market, and this is related to the scattered research among member states, some fragmentation, but also to the difficulties that we are facing to translate the excellent research that is done in Europe to products and treatments. Second challenge would be related to the regulatory complexity, related to the lengthy authorization procedures for setting up biomanufacturing facilities, and also for bringing products to the market when compared with other jurisdictions. We have also challenges related to access to finance, because of the difficulties that biotech companies are facing for getting the funding that they need in the different stages of their development, and especially in the scale-up stage. We are talking also about challenges related to skills. These sectors need a highly qualified but also multidisciplinary workforce, and some of this workforce cannot just be obtained or provided by the EU. So we need to develop those skills, attracting and retaining talent. There are also value chains obstacles that are related to the availability of sustainable biomass that is needed for this sector, and also related to the potential competing uses for this sometimes scarce biomass. We have intellectual property issues. This is a sector that has a huge knowledge density, and then it's very important to protect this intellectual property, many times, and a very important asset for these companies. We have also challenges related to the public acceptance, where more attention is needed to give citizens robust assurance about the responsible use and the safety and sustainability of these technologies, and also to make the benefits of biotech and biomanufactured products become more apparent to them. And finally, we have also challenges related to the economic security, and in that sense, as I mentioned before, biotech is one of the critical technologies, and in that sense is subject to an ongoing assessment of the risk to technology security, and also to technology leakage that is being conducted jointly by the Commission and the member states. So next slide, please. So to tackle those challenges, the communication is proposing a set of actions that are grouped along 8 main activity lines, but it also presents some specific actions in 3 main application fields that are the use of artificial intelligence, healthcare, of course, very important for biotech, and also the application of biotech to the green transition. The first activity line would be what we can do about leveraging research and boosting innovation. In that sense, the communications is proposing to launch a study about the position of the EU compared to other global leaders in biotech, and study the process of biotechnology generation and transfer. It also proposes to see how we can take advantage of the research infrastructures that we have in the EU, and especially one of them that is the EU IBISBA, the Industrial Biotechnology Innovation and Synthetic Biology Accelerator, which it's a trusted digital repository and service network for the sector. Related to artificial intelligence and the use of data, the communication is proposing one action related to the use of AI and generative AI, that it's supporting structured exchanges with the sector to accelerate the uptake of this important technology, and also to raise awareness of the opportunities for biotech companies, biomanufacturing companies to use the network of high-performance computers that we have available in the EU. And also it proposes some actions supporting the development of the advanced generative AI models applied to healthcare. Regarding to one of the other lines of action that is stimulating market demand, the communication is proposing to developing methodologies to review the product environmental footprint, so that we can have a fairer comparison with fossil-based products. Because sometimes the advantages of biotech bio-based products are not well known, and the requirements are not are based on fossil-based products, and these are not have been updated. It's also proposing to develop methodologies for carbon storage in construction materials. It proposed that the Commission will look also at the opportunity to introduce bio-based content requirements in specific product categories and public procurement as a way of stimulate the demand. And also to explore the opportunities of using labeling of bio-based products so that these kind of products can better profile themselves and make their benefits more prominent for consumers. Regarding the third action line, which is about streamlining regulatory pathways and addressing this regulatory complexity that I mentioned before, the communication is proposing two main actions, that is simplifying the regulatory framework and improving access to markets by means of a study on the existing legislation, which could set the foundations for a possible EU Biotech Act under the next mandate. And also it's setting up what we call EU Biotech Hub as a portal to provide better support for biotech companies, information about the legislation and how can they navigate this complex regulatory framework. And also it proposes to go deeper in the use of regulatory sandboxes to allow the testing of novel solutions. So next slide, please. So the communication, as I said, also proposed some action specifics for health biotech, focus on making better use of the existing infrastructure for health biotechnology. It's also looking at how we can, or to assess the effects of the clinical trial regulation. For that, it proposes to launch a study and see if, for example, further action like the creation of clinical trial hubs could help to address cross-border fragmentation and build more capacity. And it's also proposing to encourage voluntary collaboration or better collaboration among member states about among the authorities that are in charge of public healthcare to see if we can improve the effectiveness of the policies related to analysis, pricing, and reimbursement of medicines. On green biotech, or the use of biotech for the green transition, the communication focuses on pesticides and bio-based fertilizers and looking at how we can improve the access to market access for these products. And it also pays a lot of attention to the issue of funding that I mentioned before as one of the main challenges. In that sense, it proposes two main actions, one related to the private investments. In that sense, the Commission will launch a study to identify the barriers that are preventing the consolidation of investment fundings, but also the strong changes and the post-trading infrastructures that are very important in the different stages of development of companies. And it's also proposing to gather more private investments through public investments. In that sense, the Commission will advocate for having biotech and biomanufacturing as part of the work program of the European Innovation Council Acceleration, so that this tool can better support biotech companies. There are other actions related to financing there. There could be more information on calls relevant to biotech under the different EU funding programs in the sovereignty portal that is has been included in the STEP regulation. We will also look at how we can improve the support that the European Innovation Council is providing to biotech companies We will also look at how the Innovation Fund can provide financial support to climate-relevant biotech and biomanufacturing innovation, how to expand the European Tech Champions Initiative. Also, we will look more widely at other existing instruments for financial support, and we will also look into the possibility of using tax credits for general or targeted tax credits to fund research and innovation activities. So next slide, please. There are also some actions related to skills. In that sense, we are proposing to see if we can launch a large-scale partnership for the biotech and the manufacturing. Also, see if the concept of academies that we are having used in the new European Bauhaus can be, for the built environment, can be expanded to other sectors like related to biotech and biomanufacturing, like textiles. We will work also on standards related to biotech with the support of the European standardization organizations, encourage more collaboration and synergies, especially through the development of the regional innovation valleys. And the communication has also an international dimension where we are proposing to increase our to deepen our cooperation with international partners, especially the US, as they are one of the leaders in many of the biotech fields, but also partnerships with other regions like Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean on biotech and health biotech, especially manufacturing. We will look also at trade barriers to biotech and manufacturing products and see if we can improve or lower these trade barriers through trade agreements. And of course, we will be having a prominent role globally, especially in the United Nations, to ensure that we have a safe and sustainable use of the biotechnology globally. And also, finally, the communication is also announcing that the Commission will review the EU bioeconomy strategy by the end of 2025, because bioeconomy, and as you know, is very closely related to biotech and biomanufacturing. Biotech and biomanufacturing can be seen as part of the bioeconomy, and at the same time, the bioeconomy provides input for these two sectors. So next slide, please. So as you see, the communication proposed a set of targeted meaningful actions that with the purpose of laying the ground for future regulatory action. So we are at the end of the mandate. The margin of maneuver of the Commission is limited. So the communication is, as I said, is laying the foundation for further action. And this can include, as I mentioned before, a possible EU Biotech Act that can help to streamline the rules and quicken the journey of biotech companies from the lab to the market. So the communication should be seen as a starting point and not as a destination, and a step forward towards a more integrated policy approach of biotechnology and biomanufacturing in the EU, so that we can help these essential sectors to thrive in the EU. So that could be all. Thank you very much for your attention, and happy to hear what you have to say about this.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much, Carlos. And yes, a communication is quite often an important step toward bringing about a proposal on legislation, regulation, and more action on an EU level. So that's why it's important to talk about this right now, and also to sound out all of you who are watching, listening from via Slido. So you can connect there, slido.com #biotech, or use that QR code there on your screen to connect. We want to ask you 3 questions before we get to our panel. We'll be sounding out our panel on the feedback to what Carlos said. We want to see what you're thinking, what you're what you're doing about biotech. Shall we go to the first question? What kind of biotech are you involved or interested in developing? And that is a word cloud. That's, you can put in whatever you want. What are you working on now, or what do you hope to work on in biotech? A lot of different avenues, and that's why we have different guests on the panel from different sectors. So industrial biotech, that's a big one. Healthcare, agri-food, we have speakers on both of those on our panel. Biorefining, sustainable biomass, right. So energy, very important too. Biofertilizer, that's what, yeah, Carlos was mentioning that. We got to get greener in agriculture. And we have to give farmers the means to do that. So that's a very important part of agriculture. Okay, so but industrial biotech seems to be the overriding activity. Scale up, scale up, scale up. That's what we want to do. Okay, why don't we move? Oh, bioplastics. Yeah, that's a good one. Enzymes. Okay, let's move to the next question. What is a key barrier that you face in biotech? And that is something that the communication from the commission wants to deal with on regulation, financing, data access, skills. Those are among them. And a key concern so far we see is regulation. To make regulation a bit more friendly to biotech, how do we do that? How do we establish a level playing field? And financing being the second one. Access to financing, I'm sure, as Carlos was talking about. And these are all points that are in the communication. I'm kind of surprised that skills are at the bottom, but we can talk to the panel about that. Okay, next question. What is needed to create a more integrated EU biotechnology ecosystem? What about that ecosystem? How do we develop that, and how can the cluster collaboration platform help in that? What do we need to create a more integrated ecosystem? Think about your region, because these ecosystems are quite often regional, but they can also be interregional to set a standard. Okay. Yes, collaboration. Think about the big picture. Yeah, sure. EU-wide standards. Yeah, that's where we want to set EU-wide standards. That's important to get everybody on the same page across the EU 27. Cooperation in different specializations, a central point of information. We need a go-to place for that. A more integrated Europe strategy. Talent development, mobilization. Yeah, that's skills. Seems like standard is overriding right now. Collaborative pilot plants. There we go. All right. So those are some ideas to create a more integrated EU biotechnology ecosystem. I'm sure all of the clusters are working on that. And how can we help them to do that? Okay, let's go to the panel. what I like to do is, if you can all turn on your cameras, the different speakers. And what I like to do is to start with a lightning round first, each speaker presenting themselves. I'll start with Felice Lopane, Cluster Manager, Lombardy Life Science Cluster. You're working in health and pharma, right, Felice?
Hello, yes, Chris. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, we're working on the life sciences industry. So we're working with the pharma, medtech, with also the research ecosystem, and we work together with both the private and the public system in Lombardy. So we cover all the aspects related to human life sciences.
Yeah, I guess most people know that Lombardia is Milano, but also a huge region there near Milano in northern Italy. So it's I think I
Yeah.
saw that you have 7,000 companies I saw on your website altogether.
We represent an ecosystem. It's 1,000 in Lombardy. It's just almost 800 that belong to the industry association we are connected with.
Okay.
And but if we consider also the public, it's almost 1,000 if you also take into account the hospitals, because Lombardy is a very special region in Italy. It's both have private hospitals and public hospitals. So it's a sort of hybrid public collaboration.
Okay, very good. Let's move to Gonzaga Ruiz de Gaona Gutierrez, Managing Director of BioVegan. Is that right? BioVegan.
Yeah, it's all right.
You're an
By the hand.
agri-food, right? You're an
Say
agri-food?
wherever you want. Okay, yes.
Okay, all right. You're an
Good morning.
agricultural in the food sector, right? Mainly?
Yeah, that's right. We try to help our members to deploy plant technology skills and technologies and processes and products. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I'm happy to be here today in such an interesting event. Pleased to share our opinions. I think we will have a lot of points in common. I think we will share very interesting ideas. Thank you very much to Nina and the rest of the EU cluster team to organize this event. Yeah, we work in Spain. We are the Spanish technology platform for plant biotechnology. We work in the field of the 5 or 6 Fs that are involved in plant production. You mentioned it before. I don't know if it was Carlos. Food, feed, fiber, fuel, forestry, and also FAN, environmental services, ornamental production. And we gather up to now. We started working in 2005 with 10 members. We are almost 200 members, and most of them are companies. 90% more or less of and the rest of our members are, of course, academia, public research institutions, and also technological centers, universities, and so on. And we gather knowledge generation in plant biotechnology and also technology demands on plant biotechnology. And we help our members to develop their R&D activities in a very much easier way. So we act like R&D managing services providers.
Very good. Okay, let's move to Gorenka Boyagia Savic, European Project Manager. I got that right?
Yeah, great. Thank
European
you.
Project Manager, Biotech, Santé Bretagne.
Exactement. That's
Université
exactly.
de Rennes. Gorenka, how did you get there?
Well, it's been a journey. My life has been very interesting as I did study in many countries, and in the end, I ended up in France. I really like this region, and it's really a pleasure to be working in a cluster that's embodying both biotech and health sectors. I can just say a few words about the region. If for people who don't know, Bretagne is the region that is based in the west part of France, and it has really unique geographical position as it has access to Atlantic Ocean. But it's also very rich in terms of technology and development, as it's actually the leading region of agriculture and agri-food in France. Fun fact, it's feeding more than 50% of the France, just that one region alone.
Really?
Yeah, that's impressive. Yes.
Wow.
And as it has access to ocean, marine biotechnology obviously is a huge point for us. And it's also in the region strategy to improve biotechnology in marine sector, and also in the smart specialization strategy that we closely follow and support. Bretagne in general as a region is the second region when it comes to digitalization and development of different technology in this sector, and also third region in health sector and biotechnology in general, with many relevant stakeholders. And we as a cluster, we are technological innovation cluster, and we are based in Rennes, as you said. And we are supporting actually 7 key markets that are important in our region. So it's eco-industries, cosmetics, biotech pharma, agro-industry, nutrition health, medical technologies, and e-health. And the main mission of Biotech Santé Bretagne is to enhance innovation in both of these sectors, mainly biotech and health, boosting SMEs' competitiveness by connecting regional and international actors, supporting companies' growth through innovation, networking, funding guidance, regulatory and scientific intelligence as well, and also international support and access to the market. And I'm working as a EU project manager, so I'm mainly involved with EU projects, international developments, but we also have a set of great project manager experts that work in each field that are here to help our companies. And our company, at the moment, we are around 200 members that are mostly SMEs, but we also have research institutions and other relevant stakeholders in the region that are our members, and that which we collaborate together.
Yeah, connecting companies with academia. That's fantastic.
And that's so
we'll talk
important.
more about that.
Yeah,
that's great. Wouter Piepers, CEO of Flanders Bio. It's 20 years old now, right? You
20 years.
60 members?
Yes, Chris, thank you. 20 years, and we're celebrating it, celebrating life science and business since 20 years. But the ecosystem in Flanders and Belgium is older than 20 years, of course. We're looking back at half a century of excellence. And there's a lot of stake for ecosystem as you look at Belgium. You look at and compare it in Europe. We are number 1 in biopharma R&D expenditure per capita. Number 2 in patent applications per capita, and clinical trials, number 2 per capita, and so on and so on. And I can go on, and it's been going on for a while. So there's a lot of things at stake. I'm the CEO of Flanders Bio, and Flanders Bio is the one of the oldest, I think, reference clusters or network associations for the biotech and the life science industry in Flanders and Belgium. We have close to 350 members originating from Flanders, but equally from Brussels and Wallonia and from abroad. Our mission is all about ecosystem building, strengthening, and we do that by means of a number of strategies that we field from basically connecting and networking our members, organizations with the different stakeholders, but also through new technologies and trends in the markets, not just in Europe, but globally, obviously. We work on strategies around discovery and basic science and translation of that science and valorization, working together against with leading institutes in Europe, such as VIP and IMEC, and bridge to, of course, testing strategies, preclinical and clinical testing. So all the areas that I'm sure the colleagues are also active in. Strategies around funding and talent are absolutely central at everything that we do. So very relevant, and I'm glad to hear all the comments from before. Advocacy. That's why that is also why we want to make sure that our voice is heard, and that we can enter those conversations such as we're doing today, which is excellent. Thank you for that. And then finally, the building around infrastructure, because sometimes it's overlooked, but you need to have the right infrastructure, and also when developing therapeutics or technology platforms, you're always doing it for the world. You're never doing it for your own ecosystem. So internationalization is key.
Okay,
thank you.
great.
Thank you for having me.
Yep, thank you well, Wouter. For all of you watching and listening, be sure to put in your questions as you're listening. You might have some questions come to mind. There's that Q&A button at the bottom. Let's see them come in. Let's go to Felice, back to Felice. And from what you heard from Carlos, what sort of feedback do you have on those different points that he made? In mind that this is a communication from the commission, but it could very well lead to a proposal of legislation in the next legislative term after the elections.
Yeah, well, I mean, we totally agree, and we're really interested and happy to see that the European Union and the Commission has worked on this really broad topic, because as we have seen and we have said, biotechnologies cover all the aspects, all the industries. They really apply to every sector, and coming from also an industry association, I may say that I see this spreading really on every industry. So it's really important to work on these barriers that we have faced and we are facing at the European level, also because there's this huge competitiveness and competitivity of the United States and in China as well, and Europe, of course, must work on this. I mean, I totally agree, and I connect to something you've said before, that one of the main topics we really need to work on, it's both culture and skills. I mean, I was also surprised to see how they were,
The
ranked.
bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Is
really
that
important.
the biggest barrier
Well,
for you?
I think it's really important for two reasons, at least. So we have said many clusters work on connecting the university ecosystem with industry, or the research ecosystem, which is really important, because what I've seen in the last 8 years is that, especially in Lombardy, universities more and more have asked us to connect with the industry to check if their courses or classes and skills they were providing to new students were updated and sufficient to get the correct labor and workforce to sustain the development of the biotechnologies and biomanufacturing industry, which is really important. And connections between European universities and international courses, it's fundamental. But also we need to face the upskilling and reskilling theme. Just in Italy, since we are working a lot on this topic, because of the demographic transition, we have switched from at least 30% over 50 employees, share of over 50 employees, to a 40% in the last 10 years. So we imagine that in the next 10 years, the share will be between 50 and 60%. So there's not any more time to work just on students and university courses. We need also to work on a system providing continuously updated skills to the workforce. And it's a very important issue, especially in Italy, because we are the first producers for pharmaceuticals. Lombardy is, I think, the first producers, since we have the majority of the CDMOs in Italy and also at the European level. But still, the biotech transition will affect also companies that are continuously working on chemicals or traditional materials, and we need this as well to switch to the biotech as well, and to be competitive also with the rest of the world. And it's something that I guess really applies to different countries.
Right, right. Okay, let me move to Gonzaga. Yeah, feedback on the communication, but also I think you could tell us a little bit about how biotech fits in the value chain, how important that is, right?
Yeah, of course. I absolutely agree with the challenges identified in the communication biotechnology. I also agree with my colleague Felice, and we are so happy that the Commission has made this first step. Regarding the skills issue, yeah, I find it so important, because and I was also surprised that it was in such a low position in the run before in the pool, but as well as you, I think. And yeah, but I think when we sometimes well, I think that all clusters are trying to put together their resources, to align resources, capacities in biotechnology, knowledge, and technological demand for the companies, which are also the carriers of the demands of the citizens, the consumers. And we all try, and this is part of the success, I think, of the clusters, or the public-private association that try to boost public-private collaboration, which is a term which was not so fashion 20 years ago, at least in Spain, at least in the agriculture sector, in the plant production sector. We have done a big job, I think, here. And when we think about public-private collaboration and technology transfer, collaborative innovation, we usually think about collaborative projects, academy industry projects, patents, licensing. But what about the people? What about the professionals? It's so important to give them opportunities not only to develop their scientific careers in the public sector, in the public field, because they have to keep on generating basic science, but they have also to have channels to find out where are the opportunities to jump into the private sector, into the R&D department, companies. Well, actually, last week, we organized a company session in a scientific congress related to biotic interaction in plants with microorganisms. And the scientists all day were surprised to see how the companies spoke the same languages as them, because we have short presentations of companies that develop R&D activities, and they have in-house doctors and scientific professionals. No, so it's quite surprising to see how still the scientific community gets surprised about this fact. So we need to keep pushing the using of that human resources from the private sector. So if we want to boost a knowledge-based economy.
Okay, and the biotech in the value chain, can you give an example of that, how that fits into the value chain? I think perhaps with breeding of plant varieties, for instance.
For instance, yeah, plant variety is more resilient to the biotic and the biotic stresses, and also very important to develop bio inputs based on bioproducts, biosolutions, fertilizers, and also phytosanitaries. Those inputs that are necessary to make a more precise agriculture, which is the way we all are trying to boost and we'll try to get to the future of agriculture that actually is present.
Okay, great. Let me move to Gorenka. And Gorenka, you know, one of the great aspects of clusters is not only that networking that Nina was talking about, those networking events, but also different activities. And your organization is working in home care. There's an ACE home care group, right?
Yeah, we have a lot of different projects that.
Yeah. Can we talk about that? Because you had a meeting in Leuven in January.
Yeah.
The ACE is Accelerating Home Care Ecosystem.
Yeah.
And you visited a health house.
Yeah.
Leuven,
that was.
Yeah, tell us about it.
Yeah. And also I want to just first say thank you for the great presentation and initiative from EU Commission.
Okay.
As an European project manager, international collaboration, I feel like is essential. It's essential, and also connecting regions and not letting regions be stuck in their own little ecosystem.
Yeah.
And EU projects are very important as one of the ways how we can connect and work on the same needs. And as you said, we had a really interesting, as a part of some of our activities, where we visited the home care of the future and just health in the future. And it really shows how digitalization with changes in AI that are very fast, with the development of the technology that's also very fast, how our future can look like. It's at the same time very inspiring, but it's also scary. And I think that's a reality for everyone.
Can you give an example of what you saw at that health
Yeah,
house?
for example, a lot of aspects that we were looking is how production of medication is going to be more catered to the person based on their DNA prepositions, based on a lifestyle, and how actually the personalized approach is going to be much more in focus moving forward. For that, also we need a lot of technology that's going to support it, not only the digital aspects of it that are going to help. And I found that very interesting in terms of having a personalized approach. But I also want to go back to the value chain obstacles.
Okay.
Because I think it's a very important topic as well. And as I said, like here in Bretagne, we work a lot in biotech marine. It's very important aspects, and sustainably gathering the bioresources as well. It's very important, and staying sustainable for the long term. It's going to impact positively not only the industry, economy as well, and the society as well in the end, because we are all part of the society. And one of the issues that we are also facing here, it's issues that companies are facing, whether they are very small companies or bigger companies, is actually having technologies that are more sustainable that they already have, improving already existing processes and technologies, so they're cheaper, they reduce either CO2 emissions, they are also more in line with the green transition. And how can we sustainably bioresource algae, for example, that are a huge source of marine bioresources that are being valorized, as through the processing, a lot of algae reduce their size, simply that's how it is. And then you need a lot of biomass to produce certain compounds that can be later used in applied in different fields, in development of nutrition, in development of medications and so on, application in cosmetics. So having like ways how to navigate in this value chain, the sustainability is very important topic. And that's also very much in line what a lot of people were saying, it's regulations, complex regulations that we have on EU level, but also every country has its own little thing. So navigating through that, it's very difficult. Sometimes these regulations are a bit contradictory. And that can also be overwhelming for starting companies, so startups and SMEs who have excellent research. We have a great, we organize a lot of events where companies can collaborate with universities. And there is a great exchange of knowledge here and on these collaborative projects as well. But sometimes it's very difficult to push new things on the market. For example, development of new therapeutics. It's costly, time consuming to understand the regulations and then to implement them as well. Licensing different approvals, that costs a lot, and it can be very challenging. For example, for a startup that has a great idea, did a great research in collaboration with universities, but money can be in funding options an obstacle, for example.
Right.
Some of the things that I would like to highlight.
Yeah, that maybe this a Biotech Act could address.
Absolutely. I think this is necessary. And also, with that being said, with all the changes, there is so much changes in innovations, technologies, in all aspects. We have to be open for adapting these regulations to the new challenges and the future, simply. More open for,
It's moving fast, Wouter.
Very fast.
Wouter, it's moving fast, isn't it? It's biotech. It's can you give us an example, Wouter?
It's moving it's moving very fast, and it's great to see the European Commission stepping forward with this act. I'm sorry to hear that Garinka got scared by visiting Leuven's health house and by seeing all the applications.
Not scared with Leuven, but the future that's very fastly changing.
No, but that is the opportunity. I think it's moving fast. I think we are living the perfect storm with, of course, things that were mentioned before during the presentation. Climate change impact, the food crisis, geopolitical tensions, that the migration streams, that the cost of healthcare is going through the roof because of the technological progress and innovation and examples that were given. But at the same time, you see the opportunity for biotech and of biotech for health applications, agri-food tech applications, and etc. have never been bigger. I've been able to. We had our own conference 2 weeks ago. I've attended IMEX ITF World Conference. I was yesterday at the Omics for Health conference in Brussels, and I mean I really think this is a time where we potentially and we will experience some man on the moon moments in biotech and brought to us by biotech and new technologies. So examples. I mean, look at the impact of artificial intelligence on the potential for drug development, starting from characterization of molecules and selection for molecules in a database of 10,000, 100,000 compounds, where the process took us years or sometimes and millions of euros or dollars. Now artificial intelligence can help us get to the same results and even better results
And faster.
faster, really much faster, and already de-risking some of the things, investments even as well, starting the development process. So and that applies through the whole R&D cycle of for drug development. So it's a great opportunity, or there are risks, or there are challenges, of course. Do we need to put certain things in place to manage that process? Certainly also when using artificial intelligence towards patient care, for sure. But the opportunities are huge and also necessary, because technology will help us also unlock the enigma for how to manage the cost of healthcare going forward at all levels, going from discovery over testing to manufacturing, etc., and delivery of care to the patients. So yeah, lots of opportunities I see, and a lot of topics that are mentioned in the communications align definitely with the priorities that we have set forward since many years, and still.
So they're singing your song.
Yes, but at the same time, Chris, there's also concerns, of course, because we've all been around, and we see this coming. The industry, and really talking on behalf of the industry now, we see this coming. And when you're developing technology, a drug or therapeutics, it's a long-term game. You need to build your business plans. There's a lot of risks involved, risks that you need to manage, and that requires foresight and transparency, predictability of frameworks and so on. And that is a concern, I have to say, a concern. So communication about the concerns are important. But it's a concern. And drug development or therapeutics, and even when you see areas like antibody development, both in health and agri-food tech these days, that's even more interesting. You need to have a foresight, and that is very important. It's all about risk management as well, both on the pharma side, on the emerging biotech side, but also on the investor side, and that's very important. Investors looking at picking their projects and taking decisions, they also need to have that predictability and foresight.
To improve access to finance too.
Exactly. They are doing the risk management, and when there's uncertainty and lack of foresight, they will look at other alternatives. And there's the risk for all of us, actually, and for Europe.
One of the questions here in the list that I see coming in, and keep them coming in. You can put them in the Q&A button down at the bottom of the screen, everybody. I see some in the chat, and that's fine too, really. What about, and we did touch on this among some of you in the panel, is What about the experience of transferring biotechnologies? This is from Lucas Trakal in Prague. Hi, Lucas. How is your experience with transferring biotechnologies from the research area to practice, transfer technologies? Can somebody give an example of that? Because I obviously, I think all of you are
Yeah.
connecting academia, research with these businesses, with these startups. Can somebody give an experience of that and how it worked? Maybe how it worked well, or maybe it could have worked better.
Well, if I may, I think
Please.
there's many ways through all the different clusters and organizations like us are doing this. Personally, what we're trying to do now with the Lombardy Life Sciences ecosystem is both working on generating a sort of network between the technology transfer offices of both universities, research centers, and hospitals. So that they can share what they are working on, priorities, most important projects and innovations. So they're kind of representing the research base in their organizations. And we, at the same time, connect with all the relevant companies and organizations, private organizations interested in cooperating, funding, and scaling up this important research to something that might be then
Yeah.
a new service, a product.
So
Then
do you have
there's
do you have a concrete example of that, of how hopefully maybe your cluster has been able to facilitate that, going from research to market?
yeah. Just to give you an example, we are working now with the national research centers. It's called the Human Technopole. So the idea is they've been launching new research platforms. So they're really increasing the numbers of researchers also coming from different countries, even worldwide countries, to Italy. And what we are trying to do is to work on, for example, all the digitalization tools applied to human life sciences and connect this kind of research to the clinical operations of some important Italian corporates that are willing to apply then those models to their research and the clinical activities, and then fostering the development of new pharmaceuticals and drugs. Another projects we have been promoting with the same kind of the same idea, but then we also got in touch with international research ecosystems. It's a project called Escalate. It's something Wouters was telling us about, something like that. So it's a platform that basically enables discovering among different molecules in a very fast way. So it's a completely AI-based tool that really make faster the process of discovery research. So it's kind of you ask for an information, you ask for a specific disease, a specific condition, and the system is able to give you an answer of what kind of molecules today you have that can address that kind of issue. And that's really important. So we've been working on connecting research to this platform, but also connecting also this platform towards the potential fundings that could exceed. So even at the European level.
Right. Gorenka, at the Université de Rennes, any example of that, of bringing research to market that has been facilitated?
Well, I can give some general examples that are very interesting as they concern the biotech marine, notably, where there has been a lot of effort, and also recently a very important project has got funding from national French funding, where there are, from research point of view, universities are trying to develop new proteins and peptides from algae, and then also new ways how to extract these proteins and enzymes with a technology that's much better. And then with the work of companies, how we can implement them in producing new food. As of course, there is a need and transition to the alternative food options and protein options. This is one of the, for example, interesting initiative that has been taking place. There also, and we as a cluster, we facilitate the connection between companies and research. There is a lot of innovative projects in our region in general, but also what comes to my mind is using like the waste from, when you have the biomass that you're using for certain production, using the waste and how can you use this waste in some another forms. For example, developing a bioplastic. As a plastic is, I would say, a problem in all industries. It's also necessary for packaging, in cosmetics, in food industry, in various other forms. And having something that's organic, that's biodegradable, it's very important in terms of sustainability. So also we have companies in our region that are working a lot in collaboration with universities, how to develop bioplastics and other alternative products that can be used in various industries.
Okay. Wouter, around the Université de Leuven, I've seen around Leuven University, there are a lot of there's a lot of research and there are a lot of small companies and startups around there. Is that an example of fast tracking research to market?
It's definitely one of the hubs. There's a number of hubs. Leuven is one of those since half a century. I think looking at a driving force in Leuven is obviously the tech transfer office that was created 50 years ago, and that's part of 10U. 10U is a group of TTOs worldwide, including Stanford, Cambridge, and so on. And it's been really a driving force for innovation together with Leuven Research and Development. So it's definitely an example. The collaboration with beyond Leuven with VIB, the research institute that works across the whole country, you could say, or region, is very important. VIB's researchers are also embedded in the different universities. So they have their own labs, but they're also embedded in the labs of the different research groups of the different universities, and that kind of consolidates the collaboration and exchange. And they also the collaboration with the DTOs of the different universities. So it's not just Leuven; it's also Ghent, Limburg, Antwerp, and Brussels, and so on. So, and that's been going on since many years with the results. I mean, looking at half a century ago, I mean. The compound coming from Leuven was at the origin of one of the first products for Roche in the US. TPA is coming out of the labs in Leuven. It was actually one of the first projects that was at the origin of the TTO creation. And there's HIV medicines that are coming out of Leuven. There's the Rega Institute that actually is at the origin of GSK in Belgium, with a lot of vaccine expertise and a lot of spin-offs that are also working in that area. The antibody platforms, etc., etc. I can go on, Chris.
Good examples of that. Yeah. Right. And one quick point I think that I see in some notes I got is that you want to avoid that some industry goes to third countries. And I think that, I might call that bio leakage. I mean, there's.
Yeah, but it's what I mentioned before.
Can you talk about how I think you want legislation that is supportive so that these companies don't leave?
And I think the intent is there, and definitely the right intent. But it's very important to, again, going back to the risk management, technology development, drug development. It's an exercise of risk management, both from making choices for R&D tracks, long-term R&D, clinical, preclinical development plans, but also for investors to invest in those. And in order to be able to invest, in order to build your business plan, you need to have a line of sight on your offset, your return on investment over time. Your level of protection as well. We talked about IP, it's very important. I'm looking at the communication, and I see a lot of it in there as well. At the same time, there's a lot of legislation, pharma legislation coming our way. And there's also guidance in there or discussions about shortening those timelines and so on, or making them dependent on access to for medicines to all markets. Again, with the right intentions, but the discussions that are ongoing, until it's decided, the industry, and let me be very clear, the industry is perfectly able to work with decisions and based on decisions. But while discussions are ongoing, the uncertainty remains, and decisions are taken by the industry now about tomorrow's plans. And the risk exists that because of the uncertainty, that choices are made to start up R&D projects elsewhere.
Yeah, it takes years. So
It
there
takes years. It takes years.
Yeah,
So we are leading in, for instance, in clinical trials. You can see that in statistics for the past years. We're also developing hubs in Belgium, but also in other countries in Europe around ATMP. It's the next big thing. Cell and gene therapies and so on. We are really catching up and making strides, big strides in that area.
Yeah.
But you need to plan your investments, and you need to build your business plans for long term, and you need to do that with a certain level of certainty. And sometimes it's difficult.
Yeah. Okay. Let's let me move quickly to Gonzaga. I have a question from someone about the ecological impact of developing biotech. Can you talk a bit about that?
Oh, well, yeah, that's what biotechnology, I think, is a very important solution. I think that maybe the most important solution to address the environmental impact issues and problems we've been facing on throughout all these years. You know, the agriculture production has been doing a great job during the last decades, but there have been some problems. You know, the objective in 1970s were different than the objectives that we have right now.
Sure.
In the European Union, and biotechnology and science and applied plant biology, I think, is a key factor. This is a mixture between digitalization and also biotechnology, which I think they are the most important, the two main factors to address this.
In the agri-food sector, I think is there, how hopeful are you that biotech can help in finding new ways for plant protection?
We are
to be able to cut pesticides, for instance, right?
Yeah. For instance, we are very interested and much working. Our members, like half of our members, work in those biosolutions I mentioned before: biopesticides, biostimulants, biosolutions for improving the productivity of our crops, for also the tools from that can boost plant breeding programs, and I mean mainly the new genomic techniques to boost new or to develop new plant varieties, more resilient, more productive, more efficient in taking advantage of the inputs, and we need to do so a better framework, better legal framework that we have nowadays. We are aware that the European Union is moving ahead with their legislative proposal last year, but we have to move quickly until that, because if we do not do it, other will. So actually, as you may know, a lot of countries and continents are developing legal frameworks that let their stakeholders to develop properly this genomic techniques and biotechnologies.
Yep. Don't let Europe get left behind on this. We've got to get on the train. My thanks to all the speakers and for the questions coming in. I think this was a good discussion, good critique, feedback on the communication from the European Commission on biotech. Let's see what happens after the election, after the further discussions on what we should do about promoting biotech and biomanufacturing in Europe. Thanks to all of you. Let's move on to our the next part, which is the funding opportunities, and that, of course, is addressing part of the concern, which is access to finance. Well, Nina, can you give us hope?
Thanks, Chris, and thanks everybody for the very interesting points. I believe the discussion can go on for another 2 hours.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the end of the cluster talk, we also share the link to the discussion group, so feel free to also connect via LinkedIn to that discussion group to keep the points coming in that we couldn't cover right now. But to close, regarding funding opportunities, there are some calls open that might be interesting for you or for your members. There's a call from Horizon Research and Innovation Action, which is called Biotech Routes to Obtain Bio-Based Chemicals / Materials Replacing Animal-Derived Ones. And here, where successful proposals should contribute to the development of sustainable bio-based products in the form of novel, scalable, and sustainable biotech production routes, bio-based chemicals or materials that meet the end user's requirements, and the availability of safe and sustainable bio-based products by design, and of course contribute to the positive socioeconomic impacts across the value chain and social acceptance of circular bio-based solutions. Proposals should have a multi-actor approach involving all actors of the value chain, and the call is open until the 18th of September. You find the link in the chat to the funding and tenders portals for the call is published. Another call that is open is called Bio-Based Dedicated Platform Chemicals via Cost-Effective, Sustainable, and Resource-Efficient Conversion of Biomass. So we talked about biomass as well in the discussion. Here, the project should contribute to create sustainable large-scale production of bio-based platform chemicals with dedicated chemical structures and availability of a broad range of bio-based chemicals, meeting market and technical performance requirements. So facilitating also the market uptake of bio-based solutions, contribute to an improved circularity and resource efficiency of the bio-based value chains, as well as improved sustainability, strategic autonomy, resilience, and competitiveness of the European chemical industry. It's a Horizon Innovation Action with the same deadline, 18th of September, published on the Funding and Tenders portal. Click on the link in the chat if you're interested. Another call is the bio-based materials and products for biodegradable in-soil applications. Here, the call seeks projects that should contribute to the availability of safe and sustainable by design bio-based solutions, aiming at zero waste and zero pollution, that contribute to industrial competitiveness and resource independence of bio-based value chains, improve circularity, social acceptance, and the innovative manufacturing process to enable a safe biodegradation of bio-based materials and products along the environmental conditions and timeframes of specific applications. Also, Horizon Innovation Action, same deadline, 18th of September, published on the Funding and Tenders portal. Reminder also that the call for the Enterprise Europe network is open. This is probably a network that you're also familiar with. It provides business support and advisory service, particularly to SMEs, talking to the SMEs, giving them information, advice, feedback and partnering service, talking about innovation, technology, and knowledge transfer. And the call is looking to set up the new consortium that will manage the Enterprise Europe network from July 25 until December 28. Actions to be funded are the provision, of course, of these services to the clients, the promotion of the network, development of the network, as well as the coordination and project management. The call is published under the Single Market Program. It's action grant based with multiple cutoffs, but the first deadline is the 19th of September. So have a look at this as well at the EU Funding and Tenders portal. And last but not least, to remind you that there are calls from our Euroclusters open. So as you know, the Euroclusters are joint initiatives from clusters across the different ecosystems. So we talked about marine today. There's, for example, the Circle Water Eurocluster that is working on water smart solutions. They have a call open, but it also ranges across the different ecosystems for mobility, the creative and cultural industries, green manufacturing, about energy intensive industries. So have a look at what is open for SMEs. This is targeting SMEs, just to make that clear, on the European Cluster Collaboration Platform, where all the calls from the Euro clusters that are currently open are published. So thanks. Have a look at all these opportunities, and back to you, Chris.
Thanks a lot, Nina. I like that name, Gemstone, for green manufacturing. What a great name. That's all for now on the EU Clusters talks. Be sure to register for those. You can see them on the screen, the next talks. A lot of good issues to talk about. And register for of course, the Cluster Collaboration Platform. You can, as Nina said, continue the discussion online in the LinkedIn discussion group that you can see on your screen. There's the link there. And if you heard anything great during this talk, please put it on hashtag EU Clusters Talks. And there you can see the website to visit. Yeah, I think that about does it. We're recorded for playback, and the slides available in the European Cluster Collaboration Platform. You can see the slides there in that web page, that website. I'm Chris Burns. Thanks for watching. See you next time.